in the original slideshow I did that was the basis for the movie An Inconvenient Truth, I focused on an extraordinary heat wave in Chicago in 2003, which was one of the many wake-up calls, and the statistics show that because of the climate crisis, these heat waves are becoming much more common and more intense. But Chicago is an appropriate place for this training for a more important reason. This city has been a real leader in renewable energy, green roofs, using vegetation, using all kinds of innovative measures to help to fight the climate crisis. So it's really good to have this training here. I am so excited to see you, and Don said you are individually and as a group the most important part of this entire experience by far. I really am inspired by you. I can't thank you enough. I can feel your energy and enthusiasm. And before I go into the slideshow and finish these introductory remarks, I do want to just mention one thing here at the outset. I want you to try to get in touch with the feelings that you have that cause you to change your lives and take all the time and go to all the trouble to come here to Chicago for 3 days. Just feel what that's all about. You've got a commitment already inside your hearts. And when you make this presentation, the words are important, the pictures are important, but the most important thing of all is remaining connected to that feeling and that commitment that brought you here. That's really because the people you reach out to will respond to that feeling and the passion that you have more than anything else. We have a big challenge in front of us. But you know the famous quote from Margaret Mead, never doubt that a small group of people can change the world. Indeed, that's the only way the world has ever been changed. And essentially, what we have to do is to win the conversation globally on the climate crisis, both the danger that we face and the opportunity that it represents to renew our civilization, to create a better way of life. Solving this is going to lead to a better range of solutions for a whole series of problems that are interconnected that we really need to address. But it starts with winning that conversation at the grassroots level. Your neighbors, the people in your networks, your friends, your family, the people in the businesses you patronize, the schools that you are connected to, the civic networks. When you boldly and consistently, with determination and that passion I mentioned, communicate the truth about this, then that can win the conversation. Mahatma Gandhi is famous for the saying, "You must become the change you wish to see in the world." We have a large contingent from India, by the way. All kinds of countries. There are more than 50 countries represented here. All 50 of the U.S. states are represented here. But what I started to say is Gandhi also believed that the most powerful force in the world is something that in Sanskrit, and our Indian colleagues will correct me when I mispronounce this, but it's roughly satyagraha, which I'm told translates best into English with the phrase truth force. The truth about our circumstances has a force of its own. People, I believe, have the ability to feel a truth when it is delivered with sincerity and with commitment. And the truth of our circumstances is really at the core of the message that you're going to be conveying. And think about the times in history when a simple but powerful truth, repeated over and over again, has one by one changed people's hearts. The abolition movement. I remember in my lifetime the civil rights movement in the South, where I spent a great deal of time growing up. I remember when the conversation was won on civil rights. I remember one of my acquaintances in Carthage, Tennessee, making some insensitive racial comment, and one of my other friends spoke up and said, "Hey man, we don't go for that anymore." And there were millions of conversations that took place in that same time period. And all of a sudden, people got the message that we're changing. We're changing. And the truth was, as Martin Luther King said, people should be judged by the content of their character, not by the color of their skin. And even though we're still fighting that battle, look at the progress that we have made. And when the conversation was won, the laws changed. The struggle against apartheid in South Africa. Now here's another example. There was a story a few months ago about two gay men waiting in line for pizza, holding hands, and some hateful guy walked by the line and looked at them and made a comment about it that was hateful. And literally, according to the news report, literally every person in that line turned and said to him, "Unacceptable. No, shut up. We don't vote for that." All of a sudden, the laws changed, and the simple truth that regardless of sexual orientation, individual men and women are entitled to love the person they fall in love with that is now becoming accepted. I was so moved by Pope Francis when he said just 2 days ago, "You and I are friends." These are examples of how a powerful truth that for some is difficult to see and understand, when it is repeated forcefully with passion, with kindness, with persuasiveness, over and over again, and it becomes a question of right versus wrong, then this is the way we progress. So this question involves a core truth. It involves a choice between right and wrong. Are we in the present era going to continue making choices that poisons the atmosphere of this planet and destroys the ecological balance of the earth in ways that would condemn future generations to untold hardships and difficulties and worse? Even now we see, as you'll see in these pictures I'm going to show you, the impact of extreme weather is a foretaste of what the scientists have long predicted. Will we continue to do that? Or will we say, no, it's wrong to destroy the prospects of future generations? We are going to acknowledge this truth, inconvenient as it is, and make changes. So, we now have momentum. And when you begin to feel a little momentum, that's the time to really put your shoulders in and push even harder. We now have a president who made a fantastic speech just a few weeks ago. And who has nominated and confirmed a fantastic head of the Environmental Protection Agency. We're seeing President Xi Jinping in China announce commitments on action in the same way. And I'll show you a good deal of this in detail. But in any case, just a couple of other things, and then I'm going to go right into the slideshow. I want to make a couple of announcements. I'm proud to announce today that Climate Reality will have the third annual 24 Hours of Reality taking place this year in Los Angeles on October 22nd. And every year we choose one day to have a 24-hour global truth-telling originating from every one of the 24-hour time zones in the world. The Climate Reality staff has done an amazing job, and the team of climate leaders that you are now joining has been the key to this. And we're going to tell the countless stories of how this movement is transforming lives and how people are joining together all over the world to do something about it. The theme of this year's 24 Hours, last year's theme was dirty weather, dirty energy causes dirty weather and extreme weather events. This year's 24 Hours of Reality will be focused on the extraordinarily high cost of carbon pollution that we're already paying. We've been paying it for too long. That cost of carbon is going up. So it's time to put the cost of carbon into the calculations of decisions. It's not a theoretical problem in some distant future. It's something that is occurring now, and it's time now to make the polluters pay the cost for the damage that they're causing. On October 22nd from Los Angeles, 24 Hours of Reality, calculating the incalculable. Once again, we'll circle the globe and give access to the global media to the voices that will tell us stories of what is happening, the extreme weather caused by carbon pollution, and how that costs us in financial and in human terms. And we'll profile leaders and economies and communities that are leading the way. Last year, by the way, the 24 Hours of Reality, the Dirty Weather Report, broke the world record for viewers of a live online event with more than 17 million online views, average viewing almost an hour, which is extraordinary. The broadcast also generated more than 165 million social media impressions, and we plan this year to break both of those records and connect with even more people. And secondly, I want to announce this morning that the Climate Reality Project, September 23rd, will co-host the Social Good Summit's first ever climate segment in New York City, and I'm really looking forward to that. We're going to be joined by a lot of great people. We're also going to launch later this month the Put the Heat on Denial campaign. We will continue the Reality Drop campaign, and you'll be hearing about that throughout the 3 days that you are here. Okay, so as Don told you, here's where we're going now. I'm going to go through the slideshow from start to finish, relax as he suggested, and then I'll go back through it segment by segment and give more detail. The reason why I've never given out the slideshow without spending time going through this process is that one of the keys to communicating about issues that are as complex as climate is you've got to say it correctly as much as possible, because any kind of misstatement on it can set us back. So the whole purpose of this training is to put each of these concepts in context so you understand what the scientists are telling us, and that you understand what the scientists are not telling us, and where that dividing line is. So that's what this is intended to do. Now, some of the slides that you will see, you will have seen before. Most of them are brand new, and in fact, the deck you got beforehand has already been supplemented, and we'll take care of that for you. And get you the additional slides that you will see. Some of the ones in the deck that you received in advance, I've now taken out and replaced with new, fresher ones. A lot of the slides you'll see are just from last month and the first few months of this year, because this is progressive. Okay, so I'm going to start now. Within 2 years of this picture being seen around the world, the first Earth Day was organized, and major environmental laws were passed in so many countries. In this country, the Clean Air Act, the Clean Water Act, the National Environmental Policy Act. This one image really changed the way people thought about our relationship to our planet. Now, this is the last photograph ever taken of the Earth by a person from space. It was taken on the last of the Apollo missions, Apollo 17, halfway between the Earth and the Moon, when the Earth and the Sun and the Moon were lined up for the only time during the Apollo program, so the entire disk is illuminated. So 99 times out of 100, when you see a picture of the Earth, it's this one, December 7th, 1972. Next is the first home movie ever taken of the Earth by a robotic spacecraft. See the Earth spinning, you can see the reflection of the sun. There's Australia, coming up on southern Africa, coming up on South America. Antarctica is at the bottom. A beautiful image. This is a time-lapse representation of global warming from the late Industrial Revolution, when all of a sudden they first measured temperature with instruments in the 1880s. And you can see the legend at the bottom, how year by year, we're in the late 90s now, the 2000s, this is unfortunately all too real. The 12 hottest years on record have all been since 1998, in the last 15 years. The hottest of all on a global basis was 2010. And this last year was the 36th year in a row with temperatures globally above the 20th century average. And last month was June was the 340th consecutive month with the global average above the 20th century average. This past decade has been, wait a minute. This will not happen to you in your presentation. There we go. Okay. This past decade has been the hottest decade ever. And this is interesting because there are some deniers who say they'll take a couple of years and say, oh, it's gone down from year to year. It's going up by every measure. And we have been seeing extremely high temperatures in places around the world. Those of you from countries that use Celsius instead of Fahrenheit will get slides in your languages and with Celsius instead. This is 50.2 degrees Celsius, highest temperature ever recorded.
In this world we live in, where do I begin? Won't get too far if truth ain't your friend. You can pretend, stick